Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. It's me, Makita, and today I just want to talk to you about some of the books that I have acquired because I plan on reading them while everything is going on. So over the past 8 months or so, I've been homeschooling my children and running my business, and then with this whole pandemic thing going on, there are a lot of other things that I've been getting into, and on top of that, I've been reading and maintaining my regular hobbies. So I realized that I haven't made any videos in a while, and I decided that I just wanted to jump on in here and make some videos and share some books and get bookish. So with some of the books that I'm going to be sharing today, they are not particularly books that I know that I'm going to be reading this particular month. Some of them are books that I've already started, some of them are books that I am currently reading, and some of them are books that I plan on reading in the future. And that's just one thing about me, because I have so many things going on. Sometimes I jump from book to book. Sometimes a book can really hold my attention and I finish a book completely. And sometimes I can get really close to finishing a book but then feel a little bit overwhelmed by the topic and need to take a break, and so I come back to it. So the books that I'm going to share with you today, there are some that I've started, some that I've have not started, some that I have finished. I think, let's see, do I have any that I finished? No, I'm not sure any that I finished today. So yeah, let me just go ahead and share it with you. So the first one is called The Go-Giver. Now, The Go-Giver is a recommendation that I have from one of my coaches, and he has recommended that we read this book because it is about entrepreneurship, and it is about the best way to go about running your business, and it is basically like a parable. This particular book has become a series. So not only is it The Go-Giver, but now also available, and I'm just flipping to the back so that I can tell you accurately what it has become. Now they have The Go-Giver Sell More, The Go-Giver Leader, and The Go-Giver Influencer. Okay, so The Go-Giver. This is a book that I've kind of started. I just wanted to start jumping into it and see, and so far it's very interesting. It would be a very quick read, I would assume, if I stuck to it, because it is only, it's not very long at all. It's only 127 pages, and so I could read this in a week if I just read about 20 pages or so a day. Technically, I could finish it faster than that if I just hunkered down and read, but we'll see. It's not one that I have extremely high on my list right now, but it is something that I am reading. The next book that I'm reading is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Now, this is a book that I have not exactly started reading yet, but Brendon Burchard is very encouraging and inspiring, and I have started to read another one of his books. So I do have this sitting here. It is currently a library book that I actually want to buy, but I haven't purchased it yet because, as you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I am having to get rid of some books because I have so many, and soon we will be moving and I have to just downsize. I'm not exactly sure on exactly when we'll be moving, but I have to downsize. So this particular book has 347 pages, and again, it's not something that would take me forever to read if I could just hunker down and read it. And the title is pretty much self-explanatory. So I do want to say that I've set a goal recently to read 20 to 50 pages per day. Now, I already spend a lot of time reading, whether that is online, Kindle books, paperbacks, and hardcover, or emails and things like that. I spend a very large amount of my personal time reading. And so one of my current goals is not only to read a certain amount of books for the year, but also to read 20 to 50 pages per day, because I would like to get to the point to where I'm able to read 100, 200, 300 pages each and every day, so that I can finish my books faster. Now, I know that a lot of people are against the whole thing of finishing your books fast because they want you to really like sit and enjoy the book. And I'm the same way. I really want to enjoy my books, but I also want to acquire a lot of information, and the way that the brain works with processing everything, I want to be able to get, in the topics that I have on my shelves, because I'm constantly acquiring new books. New things are constantly coming out, and I have to stay abreast of my particular industry. And then on top of that, there's a lot of personal and a lot of personal development and relational development that I do as an individual, and I do a lot of that through my reading. So not only that, but also my spiritual development. So it's not just that I want to devour books, because I also, in the process of reading a certain amount of pages every day, I also journal a lot about my thought process when I am reading. Now, this may be a bit more difficult for someone who is reading like fiction, because you wouldn't want to hurry up and get through a book so fast unless it's just that enjoyable. But for me, with a lot of the nonfiction that I read, which primarily what I read is nonfiction, um, I want to get through the book. I want to, process what I read, and then I want to move on to the next book in the same topic mostly. So I basically established a bit of a curriculum for myself for last year, and I did really well with it. And I'm doing the same thing again this year, where I have a curriculum for myself, and I'm reading particular books in the curriculum. I'm participating in online courses, and I'm watching videos, and I'm learning a lot about the topic. So right now, I'm also really heavily centering my focus on reading more books, which is really good for this channel, but it's also really good just on an individual level, because with everything that's happening around us, I want to make sure that there's a lot that I am pouring into myself, so that I'm able to stay strong and encouraged and positive, not only for myself, but for my family, my community, my business clients, my business partners, and I can be effective in our world. So I just wanted to share my business goals. Now, on back to the books. So I picked up an audiobook of The Handmaid's Tale from my library. And the reason why I did this is because sometimes I am in my house. Again, like I said, I'm homeschooling, and I was homeschooling for 8 months already. And that was 3 out of my 4 children. And now that everything has happened with the corona, now I am actually, my oldest, who's going to be graduating from high school this year, he is now technically homeschooled, even though the school is still sending out, he's doing all his work through the school system, and they are sending out links, and he's using, Google Classroom and everything to attend classes. He's still home. So the family dynamic changes a lot when the kids are home, and there's a lot of different things that you can and can't do, because you really have to pay attention to what's happening around you. And so with that being said, when I get into my cleaning mode, a lot of times it's, my reading time is very different now because of how everything is, and it has been for the past 8 months. So with that, I've decided to enjoy some audiobooks, and there are some audiobooks that are just not available through the Overdrive app, because so many people have requested them, but not everyone wants to go in and pick up the CDs. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the CDs inside of my laptop, and then I have a set of earphones that I kind of walk around, not kind of, but I walk around listening to the audiobook while I'm cleaning up. And it is really enjoyable, and it helps me to get through it. So one of the audiobooks that I'm currently listening to is The Mother of Hollywood by I think her name is Michelle Lewis. I have to see what her name is. Let me check my Kindle. Yes, I think her name is Michelle Lewis, but that is one of the audiobooks that I'm currently listening to, because it's something that I wanted to, technically read, but because I am so busy, I'm just not always able to. Oh, Jennifer Lewis is her name. So The Mother of Black Hollywood. So, and I have to finish this because it expires in 2 days and 11 hours. So again, if you don't have access to your library right now, and if you're frustrated or you don't want to spend money, and I think Amazon isn't really going to be sending out books anyway, then one thing you can do is you could download the Overdrive app. And the Overdrive app connects to your library using your library card. And you're able to get access to audio and digital books, which is really, really great. So let me share with you the next book that I picked up. So I picked up The Path Made Clear, Discovering Your Life, Direction, and Purpose by Oprah Winfrey. So I'm just interested in what she has to say. Really, it's not so much about me finding my life direction and my purpose, because I believe I've already done that. But I have a thing for wanting to know what made people the way that they are. And sometimes when they write their books or they're trying to teach someone something, they will give you a bit of information about who they are and why they are how they are. And one thing about me is I don't always go for someone who I agree with. Sometimes I want to read the story of the people who I don't agree with, or who have been through things that I've never been through. And I believe that some of this has changed about me over the past few years, because if you go back and you see my review of Difficult Women, that was a really difficult read for me, and so much so because of the stories that it told and the perspective that it told them in. It was just hard for me. But by the end of the book, I was so glad that I read it, because of the perspectives that it showed me, because I was able to get in the head of different types of women, and because of the experience that it took me through to have to push through reading some of those things without even having to experience them. So that's why I picked up this book. I just want to see what she has to say, and I thought it would be interesting. And plus, I love nature, and it just has her out here with all these trees. And I know they say you really shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but truth be told, a lot of times I judge books by their covers. Okay, the next ebook I picked up is The Institute by Stephen King. So, you would look how big the CD case is. There are 16 CDs here. 16 CDs. So the thing about Stephen King, it's been a very long time since I read one of his fiction novels. When I was going to school, I had to read his book on writing, and I really enjoyed that. And when I was a kid, I had to be like 12 or 13, I read it. And it freaked me out, and I covered up all the vents in my house while I was watching the movie, because I was like to the end of the book. I was almost done. It's a huge book. And I still remember it to this day. I really enjoyed the experience, but it really freaked me out. And so I haven't really picked up another one of his fiction books since then, but I would like to read The Institute. Number one, the cover. The cover really gets me. I want to read the book because I feel like the cover is very interesting. And then I read the synopsis, which I don't normally read the synopsis on many books, but I did read the synopsis, and I decided that, hey, this is a topic that, while it is a bit, it may feel hard to read and difficult for a little bit, I would like to read it. So, and I think it's gonna be even harder because I'm not even just reading it, I'm listening to it, but still I have it, and so I'm gonna try it. The next book I picked up is The Last Thing You Surrender, and I'm gonna tell you why I picked this up. It was not because of the cover, it was not because of the story, it was not because of the author, it was not because, I'm gonna tell you why it was. I picked this up because I follow Brown Girl Reading, and Dee Dee, she can get me to want to pick up any book, because when she starts talking about it and she tells you how great it is and how much you're gonna like it, how much you're gonna love it, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I have to go get that book. And so that's what happened with this. She said that this is a really great book and she really enjoyed it, And so I just went ahead and I contacted my local library and I put a hold on it. And within like less than 24 hours, it was ready. And I was like, yay! So I got really excited. And the great thing about it is that he's a Pulitzer-winning journalist. And I'm interested in reading this book. Now, the thing about me is that many times in fiction books, I don't read the synopsis. The reason why is because I feel like it really messes up the book for me. I'm the same person who doesn't like to watch trailers all the way through because a long time ago when I used to have trailers, I felt like, oh, okay, that's going to be a good movie. I can't wait to see the rest of it. Today, I feel like trailers are spoilers because they're so long. They have so much information in them. And by the time they're done, I feel like I've already watched the movie. But that's the same way that I feel about the synopsis of a book. I feel like if I sit down and I'll read the synopsis of the book, it's basically told me about the entire book and I'm not going to really want to read it. I know some of them do have like, I have to think of what it's called. Like cliffhangers. Like they leave you hanging and they make you want to get into the book. But sometimes I feel like all the details at the beginning kind of make me not want to get into it because I feel like they've told me what I want to know. Like you get me to the climax of the story already and now I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen at the end. Why do I want to read the whole the first part of the book? So, I did hear what this is about. I honestly do not remember. I just remember that Dee Dee said it was going to be good. And so I said, okay, I'll read it. So I picked it up. All right. The next book that I am reading is The Water Dancer. And this is a current read for me. The other books I have not started reading except for The Giver. The Water Dancer I have started reading and I am enjoying it. I'm in like the 3rd chapter of the book. Can I tell you? Let's look at the cover. The cover is beautiful. As a book lover, this is a book that I would want to have on my shelves just because it's pretty. My husband would say like that's why you had too many books now, but this is so far, it's a really good book. The author writes very well. I sat down for a few minutes to just like read 1 or 2 pages. Before I knew it, I was like 15 pages in. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And I was reading it in my bed. So I thought I was going to fall asleep, but I didn't. I love the perspective and I feel like if this book is really good, I feel like I would want to read another one of this author's books, and his name is Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm not really sure how to say his name, but yes, great book so far. Okay, the next book that I am reading is The Motivation Manifesto. Okay, this book right here. This is it's nonfiction, number 1. Number 2, from the beginning. I mean, like from the very beginning, like from the first page of the book, I felt challenged to dive deeper. And although I want to devour it quickly, I felt like I needed to slow down and really process the words that Brandon Bouchard is putting forth, because it seems like there's so much thought and so much effort and energy that he puts into the words that I felt like the least I could do was put that much energy into taking them in. So this is a book that while I am not purchasing books right now, I will purchase because I enjoy highlighting my books and putting like bookmarks in them so that when I go back later on, I can see what they are, or when they are given to my children, later on, they can see what I felt like was important. And I feel like this needs to be a part of my library. So, number one, the book in itself is very beautiful. It's a hardcover book, black and gold. Um, it's a matte finish. It just makes you feel like there's something very important in it. If you see the inside, it's red. It has a red bookmark. You know, this book makes you feel like there was a lot of care really put into the production, the writing of this book, and it is to be cherished. Now, I'm not finished with it. I don't know how I feel about it at the end, but I know how I feel about it right now. And um this is a gem for me right now. So yes, this is something I'm currently reading, the Motivation Manifesto: 9 Declarations to Claim Your Personal Power by Brandon Burchard. Burchard. I say bruh, it's Bur. Burchard. Burchard. Okay. Then I'm going to show you, I have other books that I'm currently reading. I don't have them out right now. I will share them in another video because they mostly pertain, these were like fictional and a few nonfiction like motivation and encouragement books. The other books that I'm reading are basically on spirituality and history, and yeah, spirituality and history. That's where the other books fall in. And they're not all from the direct Christian perspective. They go into investigating certain topics. And I mentioned before, I don't even know if I posted the video where I said this, but there's some things that I'm reading about that I'm being careful in sharing just because of the perspective that they come from. And I want to make sure that I have read them and I've reviewed them and that I'm able to tell you what I think of them when I share what I am reading. So there are a few books that I have not shared yet. Oh yeah, there is another fiction. I have another video that I have not shared. So the thing, I don't always say this or share this. Okay, so I have videos that I record sometimes that I just don't release. I don't publish them. I just record them and then I go back and I watch them and I find them funny or informative for myself. So there's a video that I need to release where basically what I did was my bookshelf broke, and I shared this on my Instagram page. My bookshelf broke and I started going through all the books, and then I wondered how many pages were in all the books. So I took a sticky note and I placed how many pages from 100 all the way to 1,000 pages. And I started really thinking about what it's going to take for me to get rid of my books, any of them. And I realized that it's going to take me reading them and determining that they're not books that I want to keep. And while I know I won't be able to do this with all of my books, I am going to start doing it with some of them. So for the next like 3 months or so, I'm going to be reading through certain books based upon how many pages they are and discarding them if it's something that I don't want to keep. So right now I am on the books that are 0 to 100 pages long. And so these are books that when I feel like, hey, I just want to read something quick, I'm going to be picking them up. The first one is called Wit. And this one it's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize by Margaret Edson. And it is about a woman who goes through ovarian cancer. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to know who she is, but it's a play. And this is a book that I picked up. And I said I wanted to read. And it has, let's see, Wit has 85 pages. So it's something that I'm sure I can get through rather quickly if I just go ahead and read it, sit down and read it. I thought the cover was very beautiful. Again, I am a cover buyer. I love books. I love reading books, but I also love the aesthetics of looking at the books. And so this book is black, white, gray, and teal, one of my favorite colors. Okay, it also has a matte finish. All right, another book that I will be reading is A Small Place by Jamaica Kincaid. This is a book that I picked up because I heard a lot of YouTubers talking about Jamaica Kincaid, and I cannot remember reading any of her writings. So I decided to pick this up, and I actually got it when we lived in Maryland at a used bookstore, and I think I only paid like $1. Oh no, I paid $4 for it still. This is a great buy because it's like the cover price is $12, and a lot of the books that I got while I was in Maryland, I got for either $1 to $4. Like no book really went above $4 inside of that used bookstore. So this is a book that I'm going to be reading. Hopefully, I can get through some of these books rather quickly so I can determine if I want to keep them or not. And then, um, either give them away or sell them. The next book I'm going to be reading is George Washington and Israel by Peter A. Libak. This is just something that I decided to pick up after watching a documentary, I believe I heard somebody talking about it, and they talked about his perspective on Israel, and I just decided that, hey, it's something I want to read. Once again, it is another very pretty book. I realized that I like books that have colors that I like in them. It is black, white, gold, and blue. The next book that I'm going to be reading is called The Shawl. So I'm going to tell you why I purchased this book. And so I have shawls. I love wearing shawls, and I make shawls. And the story in this book is supposed to be about a shawl that passes through. Yes, I did read the synopsis on this one. It's supposed to be about a shawl that passes through the hands of a woman from her younger age through her older age, and if I'm not mistaken, it goes to one of her children. Now, I think that's the story of it. But the idea that a piece of property, a piece of cloth that someone has made would not only be with me from the time that I make it in my younger years to my older years and then transfer into the hands of one of my children, I just felt to be a very sentimental concept, and I wanted to read about it. But this also has tied in a lot of hardship that the woman goes through. This is a fictional story. It's called The Shawl by Cynthia Ozick. And it's just something that I said I wanted to go ahead and read. Again, I got this book when I was in Maryland at the used bookstore. It has 70 pages in it. So as I'm sitting here going through all these, I just realized that I really could sit down and read some of these books in like one day. And so I may decide to do that. So this is The Shawl. The next book that I picked up while I was in Maryland from the used bookstore is called My Folks Don't Want Me to Talk About Slavery by, it is edited by Belinda Hermes. Let me see if it has an author. No. It says 21 Oral Histories of Former North Carolina Slaves. And so I picked this up again. It was $3. And when I was picking it up, I know I was doing some history on African Americans, origination, slavery, and in-depth study of some of the things that we're not told about our history. So that's why I picked this one up. It has a page count of 99 pages. So if I read a certain amount of stories every day, I could probably be finished with this like really quick. So the last book that I'm going to show before I get into my digital books that I just downloaded off of Overdrive is called The Testament. Now, The Testament is a book that I really enjoy. I started reading it last summer, the summer of 2019, when we were on our way to Universal and on our way back. And I really enjoyed the book. Once we got back and I started homeschooling, I didn't really feel like I had time for fiction. So here's another one of the things with me. One of the reasons why I don't get into fiction so much is because I'm not a fast reader, which makes me good at like pinpointing detail and doing editing. But I'm an avid reader and I really do enjoy reading, but sometimes it makes it difficult for me to read fiction because I have to speed it up and get past a lot of the details. And sometimes I get stuck in the details, which makes it very difficult for me to envision what's happening. And so, one of the reasons why I enjoyed this book was because I think, like, in a day, I was through like 100 and something pages. And my husband was like, wow, you're reading that really fast. But it was very, very interesting. It was very mysterious. It was upbeat. It had a lot of great qualities in it, and it is like historical fiction, so religious historical fiction. So I really enjoyed it, but I'm not done. So this is one of the books that I have to finish. Again, it is called The Testament, and it is by Eric Van Lustbader. Eric Van Lustbader. Okay, so one of the reasons why I picked it up is because it's supposed to be like Da Vinci Code, and I read one of those books and I really liked it. And so I wanted to try something that was not written by Dan Brown, but was in the same category and a series. So this is number one in the series, and the next one I think is called The Fallen. So that's another reason why I need to go ahead and get through this book, is because one of the things I've been wanting to do is to read a series of books, you know, to actually be into a series of fiction books and to read them and to finish them and to enjoy them. I have a few series that I just don't read because fiction is not really my thing, but when I do get through a book, I really actually like it. So yeah. All right, so now last thing I'm gonna show you, because this is getting to be pretty long. I didn't realize how long this video was gonna be, but I'm going to show you some of the books that I put on hold with, well, they're not on hold, I can download them, I just haven't yet. The first one is called The Wild Circumference of Love by Marita Goldman. The next one that I have is Unforgivable Love by Serafina Scott. Then I have Queen by Candace Carty Williams. The Well-Read Black Girl. Then I have Killing Sacred Cows, Overcoming the Financial Myths that are Destroying Prosperity by Garrett B. Gunderson. The CEO Next Door, and Becoming by Michelle Obama. I started reading that before and I did not finish it. So these are some of the books that I currently have out on my Overdrive app. So again, I would really encourage you that if you don't already have the Overdrive app, that you get it, because it really just puts the library in the palm of your hand, literally. In the palm of my hand. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to share what I have and what I plan on reading and what I'm currently reading and where I am with my bookish topics. And yeah, so that's it for now. Hopefully I will be back with a book review very soon to tell you what I think about The Water Dancer, or maybe one of the smaller books that I've already read. I don't know which book it's going to be, but I also just put on hold American Dirt or something like that. I saw this book and I said, let me see if I'm gonna want to read it. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and if you are not already doing so, follow me on Instagram at Mrs. R Bookish. And thank you for joining me. Until next time. Oh, and tell me what you are reading down below. Okay? All right. Bye.